We spend a lot of time talking about video games here. But what about the hosts? We're talking about Brenden. Hello everyone and welcome to 3VO where we're all on the same team. My name is Jordan.
And I'm your other host, Brenden.
And if you're new here, we are just two big old nerds that absolutely love video games and love talking about them. So if you like us, share that same love, then this is definitely the place for you. Today we're going to be running things a little bit different than we normally do. We're not talking about video games directly as much. We'll get more to that later. But first off, Brenden, we're in person for the first time.
We're real.
This is amazing. I feel so good.
I cannot tell you how nice it is to actually be in the same room and collaborate with you on things together.
It's been so nice. We've done, just for clarity, we've done a couple other things in person. We're not going to say exactly yet because I think I want to keep it a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah. Under wraps a little bit.
Under wraps a little bit. But it's, and obviously we're both vaccinated. We've both been following proper protocols and shit like that. So this is as good as it can be for us to be able to be in person. But also my favorite thing is I can just touch Brenden now, which is so nice. When I first got here, I think we hugged for like a minute and a half.
A solid
straight.
minute and a half.
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
But other than that though, how are you? You doing good? Everything's been
great. Yeah, it's just speaking of COVID and just things becoming more safe, things are starting to open up again, which is very nice. But my rock gym, my bouldering gym is open again, so I've been climbing a lot more, which is nice. Really nice to get back into that. Lose some of my quarantine weight, and just started getting strong again, and diving back into that. So that's been really nice. How about you?
Good. I was in a very lucky position pre-COVID where I was already signed up for the Beachbody program online.
Oh yes,
we're not sponsored or anything, by the way. Just although.
Beachbody.
I wouldn't be against it.
Call us.
If you want this to be your representation online.
Oh, yeah. All this. Yeah.
But so I had that going into COVID. So I was already fairly equipped for like trying to stay at least a little bit active when shit went down. So I at least had that. But having like bars and restaurants and just like places to go to again opening up and feeling relatively safe going back into that environment. I haven't gotten out yet, but like it's been nice just knowing that just like there's options out there again.
Yes, absolutely.
But then again, the biggest thing is being able to do this in person.
Absolutely.
Zoom was nice,
It served us well.
It served us well. It absolutely it enabled us to be able to do something like this and fairly easily do something like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is so much better.
So much better.
And I love our newscaster setup now too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We really look like we're going to be reporting news.
Live from the 3BO desk.
Unfortunately, as usual, we'll be bringing you no relevant information.
Not a bit.
It's just going to be...
Not at all. Nothing. Not at all.
Well, now we know what Brenden's been up to. But who is Brenden really? We're going to be doing things a little bit differently today. I'm going to be conducting an interview of sorts with Brenden. I've got some questions here for him. He hasn't seen any of these questions. Most of them sort of relate to something video game-y-ish. But some are a little bit outside of it, and some of his more personal, different interests into his personal life. Nothing too personal. I'm not going to get like deep into this shit with you. But yeah, I've just got a series of questions that I'm going to ask you and just answer them to the best of your ability.
Excellent. I'm terrified.
Yes. I did go crazy. It's not. I'm not trying. I'm not trying to catch you in anything like that.
Still worried.
Fair enough. So, without further ado,
yes,
you ready to dive into this thing?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started here. So, anyone familiar with you on the podcast or in real life would probably assume that at least one of your favorite games is probably the Legend of Zelda series.
That's a fair assumption.
So, and it's one that I kind of missed growing up. So can you try to explain, at least for you, what it is about this game series that has sort of captured you since like it came out in the 80s, basically?
Yeah. So I obviously wasn't playing it in the 80s
right,
when it came out. So the first Legend of Zelda title that I had was Ocarina of Time, which I think came out around 95. Don't quote me on that. Maybe 97. But I was a very young child. And my father, I think, came home with it just kind of randomly. And I fell in love. It was so cool because it was the first kind of game, and it was for the Nintendo 64. So, and that was still like really pretty new to me. But it was like really open world, and it felt like you could go anywhere and do anything. And up until that point, I had been playing games like Super Mario 64, which kind of felt like open world-y, like it was getting there. But Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time really felt like, yeah, you just go. Like once the world opens up, you can go anywhere and do anything that you want, really. Obviously with some like, you know, railroading and storytelling.
It was an early game. It was maybe like a gigabyte of like data.
Yeah, honestly. But that's what really drew me in. And then it was like a high fantasy type of world, and the storyline was compelling, and you know, getting all of these different items and using them to defeat different opponents and solving puzzles, like it just all, like every aspect of it fit together so nicely for me. And it really, I don't know, it scratched an itch that I had as a kid, because it was a video game, it was fun, there was a story involved, there was puzzle solving, so there was just a lot that drew me in. And then after that, every Zelda title I think has delivered on all of those things every time. So I think that's really what pulled me in, and has kept my love of the Zelda game strong all these years.
Nice.
Yeah.
So going off of that, you hear stories about what kind of gets referred to as the Nintendo polish across like all the major Nintendo titles and whatnot. It's just sort of that thing that just like it gets talked about of like all Nintendo titles sort of have like an element to them that makes them quote unquote like almost perfect as a game, arguably. And it's something that like gets talked about in terms of like Nintendo was very clear about like, here's how you make a Zelda game, or here's how you make like a Mario game, and these are the things that have to be included and whatnot. And they're held in such a high regard that there's that story about the developer during one of the E3 conferences when they made that Raving Rabbids Mario crossover thing. I don't know if you heard about it a lot.
Yeah.
There's that famous clip of the dude being told by Miyamoto, hey, you made a great Mario game, and he's so overwhelmed, but he starts crying at E3. It's a really, really sweet moment. But I'm just curious then, from your perspective, what is it about these quote-unquote children's games that do still hold people's attentions, even like as an adult? Like, even though technically you have aged out of the demographic for the games, technically speaking. I'm not trying to insult. I am not trying to insult Nintendo or the games that people play. I'm just saying that, like, on a technical level, these are children's games, but they still keep people's attentions, like you and a lot of other adults.
It's a really great question. Thank you. It's kind of hard to put my finger on, like, what is it? Because there's a lot of different aspects, kind of like I outlined in the first question, that do draw people in. For a lot of people, I think it's that like puzzle solving aspect. Right. For a lot of people, it's that kind of like RPG light aspect that I think is really compelling, because it makes it easy to pick up, you know, and it makes it like the barrier to entry for a Zelda title is a lot lower than the barrier to entry for like a JRPG or something that has like a stat system or turn-based combat, you know, having it be like have no stats in any Zelda title, really. Like as far as the character goes, like there's no ingrained, there's no like attack stat, defense stat, like things like that. Taking that out and making it action-based combat, or action-timed combat, whatever you want to call it, I think that makes it so easy to pick up for people. Because you don't have to learn a whole other like style, you know, or like how to fight, learn the strategy of turn-based combat, or, oh, should I max out my HP? Should I, you know, lower my defense? Like whatever, you know, all of that clutter that can sometimes make a game unenjoyable, it's all taken out. Yeah. And what you're left with is, oh, I'm a guy and I just get stronger, you know, as I pick up, you know, extra items in dungeons, or I learn the controls a bit better, or I learn more skills, you know, things that are a lot easier to pick up as a player. And I think that's one of the biggest things. There's
sort of like an intuitiveness to it, that like you pick it up and you kind of can figure out like here's the mechanics and here's how this works.
Exactly. It's never, I mean, of course there's going to be people who are like very, very good at Zelda titles, but there's not going to be that disparity where there's like, you know, people who are really, really good at like Final Fantasy games versus people who are like if I picked up a Final Fantasy game, I would be like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
You know?
Right.
to not have all of that clutter of like stat systems, item systems, or like even skill systems to a certain degree, makes it a much more approachable game.
Right. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
So, Brenden, where does the nickname Hermione come from?
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! That's not video game related.
Nope. I told you, not all these are going to be video game related.
Oh my gosh. So, my friends, yourself included, affectionately started calling me Hermione because I'm partially an insufferable know-it-all.
It's all nope, we're good. I just wanted that on camera.
That's all you wanted from me.
Cut. We get into the podcast now. We're done.
This interview is over.
Podcast over. This is all I wanted.
Oh my
just
god.
all into this.
Oh my
No, I'm kidding.
So yes, my group of closest friends calls me Hermione, and it's affectionate, and I know that. Because I have big Virgo energy.
There we go. All right. Something a bit more flattering now.
Oh,
a
thank
bit
you.
nicer. So you're a man of many talents.
Thank you.
But I think most who know you would assume that probably one of your biggest passions is dance.
Yeah.
Could you give us like maybe what was something that's like your favorite thing about dance? Whether it's something about the art itself or something about the community?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the dance community is really cool, and insofar that I am in like a casual dance circle, so I can only speak on that. I don't know anything about like the professional world when it comes to dance, and that could be very different. But the casual dance circle and the community that I have is awesome, excellent, love them to death. We do it because we love it and not because we're trying to be like the best or, you know, have the highest leap, the most turns or anything like that. Like it's much more community based. It's a lot more supportive. And that's definitely one of the things I like about dance quite a lot. What also like draws me to dance is because it's really good exercise. It's a lot of fun. And with like traditional exercise, like going to the gym or being on a treadmill, working out, whatever, I stop having fun before I get tired. And with dance, I get tired before I stop having fun. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I get that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So like I can go for like hours and hours and hours, you know, doing dance, you know, doing rehearsals, like at Cal State. Shout out to the University Dance Company. But, you know, I can go like all day and it'll be like the last session, be like, oh, I'm really tired. And then I'll realize like, oh, I've been tired for a while.
Right.
Like,
I just didn't care because
like,
I was having too much fun.
Yeah, exactly. I've been like running on fumes for a while now. And you don't realize until you sit down, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my favorite part about dance.
Now, is there anything, and we could just skip this if you don't want to get into this, but is there anything about the art style itself or maybe the dance community that kind of drives you a little nuts?
Something that drives just me nuts personally is that there's like always somebody that's better than you. But like I mean that in like somewhat of a good way too, you know, because there's always something to like aspire to, you know. There's always but I mean it's like a double-edged sword. It's a good thing too, you know, like you might be really good at like one particular like trick or style or something, but there's gonna be somebody else that like maybe can't do that as well as you, but they'll have like a really good freeze, or you know, their isolations are really good, or their extension is really good. So there's balance, you know. There's
always like something that someone's better than you at, but that also means there's probably something you're also like good at that someone looks at you and goes, oh, I wish I could do that.
Exactly. There's always room for improvement somewhere, you know.
I like that. That's good. All right. Back to video games for a little bit here. We've talked about on this before, and anyone who knows us from the podcast knows that you and I are all about the story-driven games.
Yes.
What do you think personally is one of the best stories that's been told in a video game format?
One of the best stories. That's a really good question. I mean, BioShock comes to mind because that story is really, really interesting and really, really cool and compelling. I'm trying to think of like any one-off video games that are just like by itself, tells a good story. It doesn't have like a long sequel or like sequels to it.
Well, even if within that you think that just like if there's like a Zelda title that you think is like this one kind of nailed like a perfect story to me, that's fine too. This is you personally, so it's
I'm trying to think. It's a really good question. I might have to vamp for time here.
We might need
of an answer. We might need a transition here.
I mean, for me, I would say coming to mind for me would be stuff from like Telltale, because those are purely story driven. So stuff like that for me would be like,
yeah. I'm trying to think if I've played any other of the Telltale games, because I think it's only The Wolf Among Us that I've played, which, don't get me wrong, is excellent.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would call it like the best story
right.
ever told, though. I mean, the Zelda titles as a whole are like a never-ending kind of story.
Right.
Which, isn't that a perfect story? One that never ends.
You didn't have to like completely mug the camera when you made that answer.
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm coming up short with really anything else.
You're fine. That's fine. It's just like Zelda as a whole.
Yeah, I think they tell really, really good stories, each individually, and then of course when you like look at the timeline, check out our timeline video. They like stack nicely with each other too.
That's true. No, I can appreciate that. That like individually it does great by itself. Mm-hmm. But if you had the context of the whole thing, it still works really.
The sum of its it's greater than the sum of its parts, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I could see that. Also, for anybody who really knows you personally, knows that you're a fairly avid reader. Is there a book you would like to see adapted that you think would do well adapted into a video game?
Ooh, into a video. Ooh, that is a great question. Ooh, okay, I have to think now. Because I thought you were gonna ask like, what book would you like to see turned into a movie?
Oh no!
I have an answer for that. I would like a remake of The Book Thief. Thank you. But okay, so like a book series or a book. I guess it could be a series too.
Or series, yeah.
I'm gonna say a series.
Okay.
And it's kind of more like younger than young adult series, but it's a good series. There's like a ton of books that you could do. A lot of different video games are like squish them together. You could probably squish them together because the book series I'm talking about is called the Edge Chronicles. Okay. And you probably haven't heard of it. It was kind of like a sleeper series of books, but basically it takes like lots of different characters, and each character gets like 3 books, but all of the books take place in the same world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and there's lots of different, like, regions in this world. So there's this big forest, and then there's, like, these twilight woods, and then this long spans of, like, deserty space.
Okay.
And then, like, a big metropolitan city, and then a floating city that's above that city where all of, like, the scholars and the elite live. So there's, like, all of these different, like, areas and regions. But it has a lot of, like, rich, detailing in it, like a lot of like the like different types of animals and trees and things are talked about, and each different region is like very nicely explained to the reader. So I think that could make a really cool series of games, because you can follow different characters through their different books and their adventures while exploring these really big cool environments.
Yeah, it sounds like it's kind of tailor-made for like exploration and checking out different
I think it would be really cool. And there's some really cool creatures that exist in the space.
Nice.
That would be really cool to see like kind of come to life, you know, and like start coming after you.
Any ones that popped to mind immediately?
Yeah, there's this I can't remember the name of it. It's been a long time since I've read the books, but there's this one creature that is like leathery and black, and it's got big wings, and basically when it gets you, it like puts you into like this not like web, but like this like sticky like stomach acid type of cocoon thing, and then it hangs you off of a tree and waits for you to liquefy so that it can come back and suck
nasty.
You up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I could totally see that. All right. Switching gears a little bit here, back to just like your other interests. What would you say was I think I know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway. What would you say was the bigger bucket list role for you? Was it the White Rabbit in the adaptation of Alice in Wonderland, or was it Mark Cohen from Rent?
Mark Cohen from Rent.
I figured.
Mark Cohen from Rent, hands down. Yeah, my gosh. I stayed up that night, the night that the casting list went up.
I think we all did.
I stayed up.
I think we all did.
And it was pretty late when it went up, if I remember correctly. And I remember going, like, I was, like, waiting on my phone, like, waiting for it to come up. And I saw it, and I was like, yes! And then I went, like, passed it out. The White Rabbit is like such a close second though. Because our adaptation of Alice's Adventures Through Wonderland was so special to me.
It was such a cool thing.
It was such a cool project that we got to do twice. And getting to play, like, I felt honored to play the White Rabbit, you know, more so than like Mark Cohen. How do I put it? It was different. Like with Mark Cohen, I felt like I really like put my ass out there and like worked on it, and like I earned it. Like I feel like I achieved something. But like with the White Rabbit, I knew I could do the role. I just felt honored to get it, you know.
It was a privilege to get asked to do something like that. Whereas like Mark Cohen is like you were gunning for that.
Yeah, I was like really hoping and crossing my fingers and really trying to get that role. But
gotcha.
White Rabbit was more like, I know I can do this. I just really hope I can.
Yeah. Is there anything else on the list of things that you haven't done yet that we would look forward to getting to? Yeah.
I don't know if I'm young enough still, but I really want to play Peter in Bear, a pop opera.
I could still see you playing Peter.
Oh, shucks.
I think you can still do it. I think you can
You're
still do
sweet. But I am about 10 years too old for that role.
Well, then I'm fucked too, because if you're too old for that, then I'm screwed.
I mean, I look pretty young if I shave my face, but I also look a little haggard.
His words, not mine.
Definitely Peter in Bear. Also, Jeremy from Be More Chill.
I don't know.
Are you familiar with that?
No, don't know that one.
The quick version is there's this like dweeby nerdy kid in high school, and he gets like picked on and stuff.
Of course.
And he has like this best friend Michael, and they're like really tight. But he's like, wow, I wish I could be more popular. And one of the other popular kids is like, you could be more cool if you take this pill, and it's like a pill that has a little computer in it.
Oh, okay.
And it lodges itself in your brain and tells you what to do to be more cool.
Yeah.
And you can like see it visually. It's like personified in front of the character.
Okay.
And then it goes postal, and it starts to like link up with other people's computers in their brains, and it tries to take over the world.
Right.
It's very silly, but it's very good.
Interesting. I like it though.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay, cool. All right, so circling back to video games here.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of discussion in the gaming community as of late about representation in video games. You know, straight, grumbly white guys have kind of had their due in games for a while. Is there any kind of representation you personally would kind of like to see more of in video games?
I mean, all of it. We need all of it. We need more, people of color. We need more LGBTQ representation. We need more disabled representation. Like, we just need it all. Like, there's a lot of normative characters, and I think we've seen it all. I think we could do more. I think we could do better.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. And again, within the community, there's always discussions, and you could argue for days with people about titles that are underappreciated. Is there any title that you can think of that you personally don't think got enough love when it came out, or hasn't gotten the love that it deserves?
Like an unsung,
kind of an unsung
title. Interesting. I mean, probably I've played a lot of video games in my time. I'm trying to think if there's one like from maybe when I was younger that like not a lot of people like.
Something like you played and you were like, I love this. Why did nobody else like this?
Exactly. And I think I used to feel that way when I was a kid. This is kind of what I've figured out as I've gotten older, is that like I played some games that in my circle when I was younger, nobody else was playing. But also like the community, like the video games and like the internet, and it hadn't taken off yet, right? So it was more isolated. So like if my 10 people in my same grade didn't know a thing, the world didn't know.
Obviously,
yes. So, but as I've gotten older, I've like discovered in being part of a larger community now that like that silly game that I thought I only played when I was a kid, everybody played, like Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh yeah,
like everybody played that. That was a super popular game. I thought I was weird and that I was the only one that knew what that game was. So it's hard to say. I was definitely one of the only kids playing the Zelda titles when I was growing up.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so on a personal level as a kid, that was one that was, you didn't really have anybody around you.
Oh, no, not at all.
Not so much the title itself is underappreciated, but that like you didn't really have anybody else around that could appreciate it with you. I feel that too, because I was definitely like a kid who liked playing video games when I was younger a lot, and that wasn't like, especially my family, like I have a very active family, so there wasn't a lot of other people who could be like, did you play this? And it took me until like high school until I was falling around people that were like, no, I love Metal Gear Solid. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah. No, absolutely. Same total experience for me. Like elementary school, it was like, I thought I was playing a cool like secret indie game that like not everybody knew about.
You go, but it's like everyone played Zelda.
Yeah. Now it's like, oh yeah, you turn around and there's a Zelda freak. Like
right.
Yeah, like yeah.
Nice. Okay, I like that though. So, kind of going a different direction again a little bit here. So, I've had multiple opportunities to work with you outside of this podcast. One of them, and I don't remember the name of the show itself, but it was the dance show where this is going to make sense to anybody else but us. But it was the dance show where we had the piece done to the show that was the Justin Timberlake's Suit and Tie song.
Yes, yeah.
And you got tasked for one of the days of rehearsal to just teach me and a bunch of other bumbling fools how to do the choreo. And to this day, I still talk about it with people that to this day I've always been impressed with your ability to sort of break down the moves for people who aren't trained dancers in a certain sense.
Well, thank you very much.
And and in a way that wasn't like, condescending or made us feel bad or anything like that. So I'm just curious if you could have anything that's like just like general Brendan Hampton advice for anyone who's interested in getting involved in dance. Do you have anything like that you could give to somebody?
Well, thank you. That's a great question. My advice would be just like, don't be scared. It's never too late to try something new or pick something up that you've never tried before. It's never too late. No matter how old you are, like just go out and try it. And also, and this is like I need to take out like a piece of my own advice here when I say this, but like you don't have to be the best at the thing. And that's really hard for some folks to come to terms with. Like, oh, if I'm not the best at this thing that I'm trying, then like, what's the point of doing it? If you enjoy it, that's reason enough to do it. Like, I'm never going to be like a principal dancer in the New York City Ballet. It's not going to happen for me. But I love doing ballet, and that's good enough reason to do it. And also just dance in general. And that totally, trickles down into any skill or craft or anything that you want to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice. I like that. So on the podcast, you and I always talk about how emotionally compelling video games can be. Can you think of an example where you felt the most moved emotionally by something in a video game, whether it just be just like a moment in a story, just like, or something involving the characters, or even if it was just like something funny or something like that kind of sticks with you,
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if like a video game has ever made me cry. I'm sure that there are. I know that Breath of the Wild definitely made me cry.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some of those memories with like Princess Zelda.
I could see that actually, yeah.
It's just like tragic.
Yeah, it really, really is. That game did a really good job as far as like, I don't know. I don't want to say like making it adult, but just like definitely taking like the emotional depth of a lot of those moments and like really, really rolling with it.
Yeah, because honestly, every Zelda title before Breath of the Wild had a little like, I don't want to say it was like emotionally stunted, but I feel like it was like kind of emotionally safe. It was like, nothing bad's gonna happen. Like, yeah, it might be high stakes for a minute there, but like it's gonna be fine. And this one, it was like, no, like bad stuff happened and people were upset, and like it took Zelda the character to a particularly emotional place.
Yeah,
especially with her trying to like connect with her powers and just like feeling like a failure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I get that. Okay. That's good. Every gamer has like their breaking point with a game to where there's just something in it that just like no matter how much they try, they're just like, I can't with this fucking game anymore. What for you is just like a non-starter for a game?
Like in general?
Yeah, just like in general. Just like, no, I'm not gonna keep playing this.
I can get frustrated or like put something down when there's like too many things to do.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If you give me like Skyrim almost does this a little bit.
I know exactly what you mean.
Saying?
I know exactly what you mean.
There's almost too much to do, too much like freedom.
Yeah.
And if I have like 20 side quests and a main quest or two to go do, I'm like, no, I'm overwhelmed. I can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah. it's overwhelming, and I also feel like for me, there's also like Mass Effect is a good example of having it all sort of feel like it's all tied in together. Whereas with something like a Fallout or a Skyrim, they're great games, and I do play them, and I love them. It all feels like, all right, so here's your main quest, and then here's a bunch of just like other stuff you can go to.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Which I totally get why somebody would love that, but just like, I get you. For me, I also feel like it's overwhelming. I'm just like, guys, I'm kind of trying to save the world here. I'm not going to go collect all 50 acorns. Like,
yeah. I had that problem with the first Assassin's Creed game. When I actually sat down and started playing it, and then they were like, here's your main quest. Oh, and now the city's opened up. And there's like 100 of these things to collect and 100 of these things to go collect and like all of these cities to go explore and have fun. I was like, oh no, I'm a completionist. I want to do everything. And if you give me too much, I will do nothing.
Yes. All in or all out. That's pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. So switching gears here again a little bit. Every artist that I know, no matter what their discipline is, has their own little rituals that they do for like warm-ups or something like that. Do you have anything in particular when you get ready for a performance or even just the podcast itself that you like to do before you get set to go?
For the podcast, like some vocal warm-ups, you know, some like just like stretching my mouth, like getting that ready. That's kind of really basic. Like that's on the lower end of things. But for like a show or a performance, my ritual is like putting some headphones in and listening to some music while I do my stage makeup, because that is like very ritualistic to me, in that it's like helping me like kind of come into the moment and like check in with my body, and then the whole process of actually like putting on your stage makeup, which is actually quite a bit. You know?
I never thought about like taking that as like a ritual in and of itself. That's always just felt very like this is just part of like the process to me.
Right. And for some people that's like not what they do to focus in, but I think it's a really great moment because you should be doing particularly your makeup the same way every night. So if you make it like a steps, like, you know, a list of steps that you have to complete, it can be very focusing and very grounding to do that. And then it helps you tune in, and it just helps you like bring your attention to what you're doing in the moment.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that though. Just like, because for me, makeup has always been such a chore. Like it's a very important part of the process, but it's always been such a chore for me.
I see.
Maybe if I switch my gears on that and how I think about it, that might work out better.
Yeah. I really like putting on stage makeup, honestly. Right. I like seeing the transformation, especially if you're playing something fun like the White Rabbit.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
That is, you know, totally different from like a Mark Cohen. You know?
Yeah.
And it can come with its own set of frustrations. But yeah, no, seeing the transformation, or seeing like your features come into shape, and like seeing yourself ready. I mean, it's like putting on new skin, you know?
Yeah. I like it though. Just speaking of like rituals and stuff like that. So something else that you and I sort of have in common is we love cooking.
Yeah.
And we like looking up new recipes and trying out new stuff. But, because I struggle, I've had this question myself too, was just like, which part do you think is actually the part you enjoy most about cooking? Is it the ritual of cooking itself, or is it getting to eat the food? Obviously eating the food is a big part of it, but
secret third option, my favorite part of cooking is giving the food to other people.
Oh, okay.
Like 100%, and I have my whole family to blame for that.
So it's more about like getting to see other people and how much they enjoy
absolutely And like, especially when you're living with somebody and you're learning their likes and their dislikes, and trying new recipes, and you're like, yeah, I think they'll like this, like, and then just kind of going out and doing it, putting it all together, and then finding out like, yeah, they do like it. That is so satisfying.
Nice.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah. I have a Southern family.
Right.
So my Nana, super Southern, always cooked for like an army of people. My dad followed right in her footsteps, and we had an army of people.
Right.
So, and like not with COVID, but like every couple of years, we'll have a big Southern style seafood boil. And we've got my grandpa has these two big ass stock pots, biggest you've ever seen in your life.
Huge,
they're
like,
humongous, yeah. And they get filled with all sorts of seafood, like crab and shrimp, and like whole onions, whole heads of garlic, lemon, like the whole 9 yards, and like jars and jars of crab boil. And then we do the whole thing where we spread out the newspaper and we dump it out across, and somebody's made garlic bread, and there's like lobster rolls, and
I want to do a seafood. I want to do one of those one of these days. It sounds like
I'll try to get you to the next.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because there's always room for one more. You know,
Right.
there's like that's kind of my family's thing.
Right. I like it. And then is there like any particular recipe that you really just like you as Brenden? I love making this thing.
There's a lot of things that I really, really like making.
Okay.
One in particular that I enjoy making is a really simple spinach artichoke dip. It always comes out great. It is super easy to make, especially in an Instant Pot.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't even use the pressure setting or anything for it. It's just convenient to cook it in the Instant Pot. You can add chicken to it, and then it becomes a lot more hearty. You can kind of eat it on bread as like a meal. But it's like there's nobody that's tried the spinach dip that hasn't liked it.
Nice.
So,
I'm not a big fan of spinach dip, and yours shit's delicious.
So yeah, I really like making that. Plus, it's special because it's not something you have like all of the time. You know?
Right.
It's not like,
True.
It's not like spaghetti and meatballs or something.
Yeah. Okay. And so back to video games here for a bit. And then we're almost done with the main questions.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah.
So every gamer, obviously, we've talked about your favorite games and your favorite series and whatnot. I feel like everyone also has that series that they see that everybody else loves, and they understand that they like it, but they themselves just like can't quite get behind it. Is there any series out there that just kind of like, I see that you love it, I just can't quite find my way to get behind it?
Yeah. I don't think so much like now or like with current games. I kind of have a beat on everything that's happening right now, and I kind of understand and could see myself playing just about anything that's popular right now. But when I was like a young teen, it was Halo. I did not understand the appeal at all.
Gotcha.
Or like Call of Duty, like those style of games, just like the first person like militaristic kind of shooters. I was just like,
Yeah, I can't really see you getting into those.
No.
Although we had a moment where we played Halo. We didn't play the game properly, but we played Halo for a bit there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a bit different. When you're playing with friends and you're like, you know, just trying to blow the crap out of each other. It's true. That's one thing.
There's still some great nights, though. Those are still such a blast. Might need to return to that at some point.
Ooh.
So to switch gears one more time again. In that vein, I feel like everyone who's a musical theater geek also has that one show that everyone else seems to love, but they cannot stand. What is your least favorite musical?
My least favorite musical. Great question. I don't like a lot of the golden age of musical theater stuff.
I'm with you.
But I don't feel like that's a weird opinion to have, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm not sitting down to watch like Oklahoma.
Same.
Like
a lot of those, I'm like, I appreciate they're here. They made they're the stepping stones. But now, like, guys, we're here. You know what I mean? Like, we're at Hamilton now. Can we, like, please?
Yes. Maybe a more current answer would be something like Anastasia. I don't know if you caught any of that. I saw some of it, and I, like, within the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah. I know the cartoon movie.
Which is amazing.
Which is delightful, but I do know that the actual musical is very, very different.
It's a little dusty.
A little dusty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, I think that's because I approached it, like, expecting the movie musical.
Right.
And what I got was, like, I don't know, like, the textbook version of the story. I don't even know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, though. All right. So finally, you and I have always, and this is the last question. So, you and I have talked about creating a safe space for gamers within the 3VO community. Because you and I, we've seen the gatekeeping that happens, the flat out homophobia, the racism, and just like sexism that happens within the gaming community. If you would like to give a message to anyone who has ever felt ousted by the gaming community, what would be your message to welcome them to the 3VO community?
I would just say that we know that we are two white cisgendered males, but we're both very queer, and we both have a lot to learn still ourselves, I think, but we are doing our utmost to keep ourselves accountable, and that we would like to develop a safe space for all of those, parties that you've mentioned, and we might not always be perfect, but we are always going to hold ourselves accountable. We will always apologize, and we will always, try to do better. Because I don't think I've always been perfect.
No.
I don't think that either of us can say that we've always been perfect and super on the straight and narrow when it comes to things like that. But we know that about ourselves, and we are trying to do better. And that we would like you to be here with us for that, and you can help us make it a better a better space, because I mean, just to be perfectly honest, like, yes, I am a gay TM, but I have a lot of privileges afforded to me because I am white and male, like, and that's just true. And sometimes that means I don't see things when they're fucked up.
Yeah. We both have that problem for sure.
Exactly. But acknowledging it is, I think, the first step, and then surrounding yourselves with people that are of those, ousted or ostracized parties, and listening to them and helping uplift them when they say things are out of line or not right. That is our job, So help us help you.
Love that. It's a beautiful answer.
Okay.
All right, guys, so we have made it to the bonus round for this episode. So for this one, I have pulled directly from one of my favorite series when I was growing up. I was a big fan of the Inside the Actor Studio show. And they always have this series of questions that they kind of end things with. It was originally taken from a French interviewer named Bernard Pivot, I think is how you say it. My French is god-awful. And then got adapted by the late, great he's now on night. The late, great James Lipton, who ran the show. So these are just some sort of just like basic, just like not quite lightning round questions, but just sort of just like first thing that kind of comes to you as I ask them. You know what I mean?
This might be the closest I get to the Actor Studio, so I'm very excited about this.
One day. It'll happen one day. I believe in you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So,
okay.
Brenden, what's your favorite word?
Squish.
You can relax. It's not like you don't have to go like immediately.
I was like...
You're not just like, just take a deep breath. We're okay.
Okay.
So squish.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with squish.
I like it. I get it. I understand it. I also have favorite words that are just like I just like saying them, which is I'm guessing.
Squish is good.
Squish is really good. And what's your least favorite word?
Moist.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot these are here. It's all right. Brenden, what turns you on?
Like really? Not my fiance looking at me.
You're like, yeah, Brenden, what turns
you on? Honesty.
There you go. So then what turns you off?
Dishonesty.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally.
What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love?
Yeah.
I really like the sound of like water splashing, like on the shore.
Oh, God,
like when it's kind of quiet on the beach.
Yeah.
And like nothing else is happening, you're not hearing like birds or anything, and it's just kind of serene, and you just kind of hear the nice gentle lapping of the waves. Yeah.
So then what sound or noise do you hate?
I do not like the sound of trying to think. Like the first thing that came to my head is like crying children, but that's a bad answer because children cry.
Yeah, but if that's the answer,
children cry. No, but children cry. Like that's not a good answer.
Okay. This is your bonus round.
I don't like the sound that every iPhone makes when the timer's going off. Because it's everybody's timer sound.
Yeah.
And it just like, it makes me go, ah. And it's also my alarm ringtone, which is like my own bad, but it just sounds like panic.
Yeah, no. I get that. No, I understand. Android has got a similar thing, which like with the alarm sound is a generic like sound, and anytime I hear it, I'm just like, time to go!
Yeah.
What is your favorite curse word?
I mean, fuck is an old standby.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
We say it a lot on the podcast.
I also really like okay, Hermione moment, but there's you can call somebody a fuckhead in Latin. It's one that I picked up in Latin 3.
What is it?
Salaputium.
That's great though.
Yeah.
That's one that like someone wouldn't even know that you said something. That's fantastic.
It's really great to like whisper under your breath at people. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. What's a profession other than the one you currently have that you would like to attempt?
Being an actor, because that's not the job I have right now.
Fair enough.
Like, if we're being honest, yeah, no, I'd really like to like do like professional theater, not necessarily film. I like film, and if somebody was like, "Be in my movie," I would of course
definitely do it.
Definitely do it. But if I could like drop all of my possessions and like move up to Oregon and do the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, like that's the fucking dream.
Yeah. What's a profession that you would absolutely not like to participate in?
Retail, anything retail, like never again.
There you go.
Like shout out to all my retail workers, like y'all make the world go round.
Oh my god, yeah. Anyone who worked customer service of retail or in restaurants during the pandemic, Jesus Christ.
Restaurants, like retail establishments, fast food service in general, any of that, like y'all are the fucking champions. Yeah, but I could never quit.
Yeah. And then finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Wow. That is a great question. One that I haven't ever thought of.
So you wouldn't like him to go, you were wrong.
No, but like in that same vein, I think it would be cool if he was like, surprise! Or she, or they, or however.
Whatever God
is. Surprise! Yeah, come on, you know? That's how it would go for me.
So you would like to just go like, no, I am real.
I'm real.
But
yeah.
you can still come in. It's
but
fine.
like, yeah, exactly. Not like, surprise, bye.
Oh, I love it. I love that. All right, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know it was a little bit different than how we normally do things. I just wanted the opportunity to be able to ask Brenden some questions and hopefully give you guys the chance to get to know him a little bit better. And if you enjoyed this or would rather us go back to our normal format, please let us know.
And thank you so much for this interview, Jordan. It was really, really fun, and this was all your idea. And I think
I had a blast with this.
I had so much fun. It was really great. And I've never been interviewed before, so that was really cool. Yeah. Also, if you have any ideas for future episodes, you can always email us at 3VOpodcastteam@gmail.com. And you can follow us on all of our social medias at 3VO Podcast. That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok.
We're one of the cool kids.
Wow. See you guys next time.